Grainmaker. Welcome, everyone, to the Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast, a Prairie Proud wrestling podcast covering everything from Winnipeg to worldwide. My name is Blair Pacheco. I hope you're doing well, having a great day, evening, weekend, whenever it is you might be sitting down and listen to this. Now, this is a fun episode because I've joked about it the past few weeks that, this is turning into a West Coast podcast. I've had some incredible guests that have, predominantly featured out in the Pacific Northwest, down in California. And, my guest today is someone who has been a part of the BC scene for quite a while. You may have seen some of their incredible photography online. They are regular at shows, taking pictures, and now they have decided to release a magazine. They're here to talk about that magazine and a whole bunch more. Joining me on the Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast, it's Skye. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is great.
Great,
love it. Yeah.
I have it's no word of a lie, I've seen your photography everywhere basically since the podcast started. It seemed, I'd go into someone's profile on Instagram and you see like the little credit and it'd be your name there, and it was always something that it's like you do some incredible work. And I want to ask, what sort of drew you into the photography aspect of independent wrestling?
So I started a project actually with comedians in Vancouver when I first arrived here, and I photographed Max Mitchell, who is Boom Pro Wrestling CEO, his wife, as part of that project. She I don't know whether she still is, but she was an improviser, so she was part of that project. And unknowingly, I had a DM from a guy when I visited back home, and it was Max Mitchell. I was like, "Who is this guy?" And he was like, "Would you like to photograph a wrestling show?" And I was like, "I've never photographed wrestling." He was like, "Have you photographed a wedding?" I was like, "Plenty." He's like, "It's like a wedding, but more fast paced." I was like, "Let's go."
Mm-hmm.
So I photographed the first Keiko Harriet show in 2021.
Okay.
And that was my first one. And that's how I got involved. I'd never watched a full wrestling show before. Never really was part of the scene before. So that was the first one, and then I was part of it ever since. So that's the kind of short and long answer as well.
So, you were never really, involved with it. What was your sort of knowledge about wrestling before you went into this? You knew of it, but not really a fan. Would that be a correct sort of idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know of the kind of kayfabe of it. I knew wrestling was the Worldwide Federation. I knew of all the big names that are obviously worldwide known. But I was never kind of wanted to go thoroughly into it. If I want to be part of a sport, I want to actively be part of it rather than just watch it. So to know that there was that scene here, it was kind of I didn't know, because I'd just go to more comedy, improvising, that kind of thing. So to know that there was this kind of base here, and then start photographing more, there was more into it, get more intertwined into it. That's how I kind of got more grew. Yeah.
So, you show up for that first show and, not really, you've never shot wrestling before. What are you thinking as this show is going on? Because for a first time viewer of, a wrestling show, there's a lot. You've got the crowd, there's so much to take in. How are you feeling about it?
I was jet lagged. I actually came back from the UK. So caffeinated, very dumb because I wore a skirt, because I didn't realize ring height as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the Widow Hero being hurt in it, and then they're saying he can't perform, he can't get out. And then there was this videography team. Peter Carlone was part of it. The rest I can't recall their names because I haven't seen them again, but I hope they're doing well. And then I'm like, Widow Hero can't come out, what are we gonna do? And then thing goes back out, I'm like, ah! And the whole thing was amazing. I remember Travis Williams, Liza, Sharif, and the Widow Hero standing out for me, and I'm like, this is a thing. It was just mesmerizing. It was very fast paced. I remember just being out of breath very quickly because it was you had to run about, and then also timing lighting, because with cameras there's manual or auto, and I'm a manual user because I don't like the camera to do the work for me. And so that was kind of scary in itself, because not only being the first time wrestling photographer, also make sure I do the deliverables, so the before, during, afters. So yeah, it was great. It was scary. It was like a duck out of water, so to speak. But it was beautiful and I loved it. And then as soon as like that happened, I got the itch. And then after that, had the meet with Max about Boom's going to be a thing. It was a yes straight away.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Of it. Yeah.
So you've been shooting wrestling for, I mean, we're going on almost 5 years now. At what point, with you being, taking pictures and everything, did you kind of think that like this magazine could be something that could be a reality?
I think it was October, because I kept putting it. So originally it was for the gallery show that I had last year. So I started sending emails out in like February time. So I like to go above and beyond and burn out. That's kind of like my jam, without thinking like this is too much. I'm like, it's never too much. It's always too much. So after the gallery show that ended, that was in June. Then I decided to have July off and then get to it in August. Then unfortunately things happened in August, so I set back again. And then around October, it was kind of like, do or let die now. This is, it's not fair to the wrestlers who are giving me their time. That was the main number one cause. And then it's also like, I have all this kind of material. And then I went through some like heartache, and it was like, I need to get away from this pain. I owe the wrestlers because they gave me the time. So it's kind of like, now. So yeah, that's kind of where the trajectory went. And then I kept pulling it back because of my own imposter syndrome, which all creatives have.
Yes.
I think everybody has to a certain extent as well. And then I decided just to do like an Instagram post saying, hey, it's going to get released in January. And then that was my deadline, January. And then it was released through the stress and it all, like as every creative, what they do. And that's what happened. Yeah.
Sometimes you almost need to set that like deadline out there. You got to put it out there and be, like almost to be held accountable. Like, people know that it's there. Now I have to do it because like everybody's expecting it. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. Scary and cool. Yeah.
So, like, I want to know, like, you have all these photos, and like, how was the process of deciding, what you were going to use? Because you've been shooting, shows for, like I said, almost 5 years. So you've accumulated a lot. What was the process like of deciding what photos you were going to use for everything?
So with the gallery show, I sifted through. That was like 4 years ago, 4 years worth of photos. So I already knew the best photos I already had like on a hard drive. So that kind of helped the process out a little bit easier. And so, for example, when I had the interviews, they would say specific things. I think, oh, this image would go really well, or compliment this kind of the words that they were saying. That's how I would do it. Or I think I really love this photo, so I'm selfishly going to do it because I want this in print. I want to see this in print just for me. So that was how I do it. And also with some of them, I actually did a photo shoot at my home. So then they'd have like a studio photo shoot in the actual interview themselves. So Evan Miles, I did a joint interview with Saint and Sinner, but that'll be in the future one. And then with Liza, that was a written one. So it was just, again, like finding ones that they like, because also with the interviews and the photography, prior to it to go to print, I send it to the wrestlers themselves and make sure that they're happy with it as well. Because I'd be doing a huge disservice to be like, I'm going to do all this. I'm going to edit all. I'm going to use all my favorite photos. And they hate it. That wouldn't be fair on them at all, because they gave me their free time. They allowed me to do all this. So to ensure that, there's maximum, kind of fulfillment on both sides. We both have got the green tick for it to kind of like be in print, and then off it goes. Yeah.
I know that's something that with, this podcast, there's been times where, after it's done, I'll say like, yeah, if there's anything you weren't happy about, like, let me know, because I'll take it out, because ultimately, like, I want you to be just as happy about this interview as I am. So if you're not, content, maybe something, was slipped up, something you don't want, you regret saying it, hey, then let me know, because I don't ever want this podcast, to be something that you're not happy that you were being a part of. And I feel like that's sort of the same thing with you in the magazine, is like, you want to make sure that like the wrestlers, the questions and everything, that it's, they are happy with themselves, or not happy with themselves, but happy with the product being put out.
Exactly. And then that kind of enhances like the working relationship, or like the friendship, as it were. And then when it goes to like future wrestlers that I will go and interview, then I've got like, hey, well, I've got these wrestlers that I've been to or spoken to, and it kind of enhances the brand, and also what's happened in the past. So it's important to do that, I feel, as well. Like it's a great collaboration, rather be like a very commercial, very strict, regimented, like, well, I'm gonna take your time and do that. It's not fair. We're creators at the end of the day. We've got to help each other out.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned the gallery show, and I wanted to ask what the sort of like the people that went, what they took away from it. Was it predominantly a wrestling crowd, did you find, that went to it, or did you see people who weren't really involved with it who wanted to come and see what it was all about?
Yes, it was predominantly wrestling people, which was amazing. There was probably maybe like a handful or two that weren't on wrestling. Great show, great night. They were predominantly from either wrestlers or wrestling fans from Boom or other shows. Like, wrestlers were very kind enough to like advertise it on like Twitter or Instagram, which was amazing. Slice of Life, who actually put up the gallery show for me, they advertised it as well. So it kind of had all walks of life, who not only came to the show on the night, but came during the week as well to look at the work. Yeah, it was great. We had Tony Maroney and Wada Hero. They had a fight during the gallery show, which was great. And then Sam, who's now Mason Crowley, he reffed. And the only specific that I asked for that match is if we could just have a little moment where we don't know who the ref is, and if they just get exposed, and then Wada Hero just like unzips Sam's top, and then he's a ref, and then it was great. They did amazing. Like, they always do an amazing job. Like, they never falter at all whatsoever. So to have that was pretty magical. Yeah, and everyone who turned up, it was very unexpected. Like, I thought only 2 people would show up, and it was the biggest show they had at that time all year. So it was huge. It was huge.
Have you only done the one show so far, or is there any thoughts of doing others?
100. I'd love to do another show, but it's like tag team, right?
Yeah.
You have to do like a tag team match, right? Yeah, I'd love to, but it was huge learning curve, just in terms of working with a gallery show, the expense of it, the time, and just at the moment, like my kind of where my thought process right now is the magazine, and that will take 2-3 months away from my life. And also the expenditure of that, because at the moment I love doing it. It's great. It's showing like more than a wrestling. Obviously we go to wrestling shows to appreciate and enjoy like the athleticism and the people, and it's great and it's fun, and we get to escape the real world, and I love it so much. But right now it's like I focus on the magazine, and that's probably more maybe like a next year type thing. But we'll see what happens, right? Yeah,
I know. So with the first issue, I mean, you had kind of mentioned maybe dragging your feet a little bit to get things going. So all in all, how long did it sort of take to put it all together up to the final project?
So I'd say around about like 3 months. So I started around like October, November, December, January. Yep. So then it was actually like 4 months, I'd say, give or take. Because like it was late October I began. And then it went into print around February time, because I was very scared. And then when I went to actually put it into print, I then had to resize everything again. So I had to resize 100 pages. So when you're ready to kick the button to be like, let's go. And there's like wrong credit card details or out of order. So you have to wait that extra week. You're like, why? So so it's about 4 months. So with this one, it's very more intense. I spoke to another photographer who is still wrestling, but also offers so much more in their magazine. His name is Wes Smith, and I spoke to him, I think 3 weeks ago. I was in Seattle very briefly, and he told me just to become more creative within the magazine. So this magazine is going to be a bit more different. It's going to be more than just the very static kind of writing that I had and layouts, so it's gonna be a bit more funky and fun. That's why my time's very consumed this time around. Very like, I can't be ill. I can be ill, but I've still got to be working.
So the first issue, like, am I correct in it being sold out?
Correct. Yeah, I did 10 because I was very scared I wouldn't sell. I thought I'd only sell 2. That sold out. So then I purchased another 20 and that sold out. So with that in mind, it's like I could bring out another 10, but I lose $200 because I don't mind losing that $200. But I give out comps to those wrestlers who are giving me their time, because I can't give them a fee that is they deserve to give me their time. So it's very much like, if I buy another 10, I need to sell another 10 guaranteed, and I can't guarantee that. But at least I know for like next time a few more. But yeah, no, there was a sellout, and I was very fortunate, very lucky to those who wanted to kind of have that creativity, wanted to have that actual physical copy rather than internet based. It was amazing. It was very heartwarming, and I want to thank also like Dina and Ashley at the merch tables, who have just been phenomenal with it and just been very positive, and just like Dina especially, like a mother figure as well. She's been amazing. So yeah, shout out to Dina.
So with the magazine, like, since it's sold out and some of us won't get our hands on, what is sort of the layout? What could people expect if, for future issues, like if they pick one up, what's all in there besides your incredible photography?
Bless you. So there's around 5 to 6 interviews of wrestlers. There's a kind of like photo documentary style piece. So the first one was on Prestige Combat Clash, which happened last summer. I was very fortunate to photograph. So thank you to William Quintana for letting me be part of that. And then I would love to do like a little like piece personally for myself. So I won't say what this next piece will be about, because you'll have to buy the magazine, right? And then just lots of photos that, both documentary, portrait, and also just live. So I relied heavily on like my past 4 years, but I want to have like a consistent, like nice portrait pieces as well, like that kind of marry up with the interviews that I completed last year, because I did around 18 interviews last year. So I used 6 of them. And then I interviewed Zay Perez for like a kind of like gear, kind of like we talked about his his attire for in the ring. And that's something that I brought in. And I'll have someone else new. So that's kind of like the general basis. And it's just kind of having the working class middleman who's about to rise up, or who's already risen, or who's already at the top. We know they are, and I'm very fortunate to have them. And just to kind of embrace, what maybe people already know or don't know or want to know. Because I feel that there's only one wrestling magazine out there right now, and it's great that they highlight like the kind of people at their peak, which is great. But what about the people who are working to be at that peak, or about to get at that peak? There isn't anything out there. So I feel maybe I'm filling that gap, or I'm still trying to work on that. This is still only the first one, so I'm still working. I'm still always looking for feedback as well, because I want this to be the best one. But that's the general consensus of what the magazine is going to be like. I can bring it out, actually. I've got like a few copies left. For the wrestlers I didn't see. There's still 3 wrestlers that get a copy. But yeah, that's like the first one.
Okay.
And so like it's generally like oh yeah, I can see it there. Perfect. But yeah, just like interviews, just pictures. So that was each one. But yeah, it's very like flat at the moment, so I can already see like how I need to develop, and people have been very positive. But I don't know about yourself, but I'm very like, when I see it, as soon as I saw it, I was like, there's 3 issues already wrong that I need to improve, and there's more like to improve. But people have been very lovely with it.
I love the layout of it. Like, it looks very like professional, because when I hadn't seen the physical copy, so I was thinking of more of like a Zine sort of like aspect of it. But this is like a full on like magazine, like the kind you would buy at like, a bookstore or anything like that. This is like high quality stuff you've got.
Yes. I want people to kind of like have something that they can have and like still have on their shelf in like 10 years time. So it's not something that's kind of like, I was given Thrasher by Wes Smith, which is great. And Thrasher's given me so many concepts and ideas. But the paper material, I've always been specific about paper material ever since I was a kid, because I love writing. It has to be this certain paper thickness. So with this certain paper thickness, both on the cover and inside, like it will just kind of last longer. Just make sure it's not the sunshine, because then the colors will fade and it won't look as good in 10 years time. Make sure it's just in a cover somewhere. But yeah, very proud of it.
I mean, with the magazine and everything coming together, what were some of the biggest roadblocks you had dealing with everything?
Starting, that was number one for sure. I feel doing something that I could be proud of, but also the wrestlers could be proud of being part of. That was also something that was always scaring me and giving me anxiety. I think the anxiety as well. The anxiety, like I'm still going through the anxiety in volume 2. I'm going through the anxiety because it's still like pushing. Like I'm sure maybe you feel it too, like pushing yourself to make sure the podcast is better, or maybe something outside the podcast, right? So the anxiety, because it's like that's not going to go away until like I don't know when the peak will be. Again, it's only the first one that I've done, right? Yeah. So it's I think they're kind of like the two ones, but again, like it's like managing them. Like I gotta go out for like long walks, on short beaches or something like that, right? But yeah, I just want to make sure I do justice for the wrestlers and they're happy with it. And then I don't think too much about it, and I just do, and then it's done. Yeah.
So, I mean, with you being a part of, the scene for the past, 5 years, what is it about BC and the Pacific Northwest that stands out to you, that stands out from other areas? Because, I mean, I have my thoughts on this, but I want to know what you think it is that separates BC from everyone else.
I don't know, because I haven't really been out. Like I've only been to Portland twice, and then that's it. So I don't know if I can answer that. And I've been to one Prestige show, but I photographed it, so it's not as if I had time to absorb it, right? So it's, I don't know. I mean, the wrestlers themselves, they're brilliant and they push themselves, and I love how individual they are in terms like characters, kayfabe, is how individual they are. I love how individual they are, like when it comes like entrance, when it comes to their moves. But then also like when we have people flown in like from Canada or America, like I don't know, it's just something about them. I mean, they get predominantly trained. I think they only get trained at Lionsgate Dojo, where it's Nicole, Artemis, Billy Swade, Tony Baroni, and now Elliot Tyler and Casey. Now Casey's going off to Japan soon, and that's phenomenal for ET. ET's been in the scene for a long time. ET's he's a really good guy and like phenomenal wrestler. They're all so wholesome and friendly and lovely, but just hard workers. I wish I could answer this better and more, but my time outside of BC has been limited. But I just enjoy and appreciate and love them all for who they are, because they just give it that 110%. You see Saint and Sinner right now. I think that's just a great example of just what we can offer, because if they can make it, any of our wrestlers can make it, right?
Yeah, and that's something that I think, it's been talked about here before, is like seeing that what they've been able to accomplish. It makes it a reality for a lot of other people, that if you do put in the work and, you put yourself out there, that it is attainable. Because for so long, it seemed like, it was a handful of people, but now you're seeing more and more people getting that recognition, and rightfully deserved, because they've done an incredible job when it comes to independent wrestling, especially here in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah. And even Nicole's known. Phenomenal. Yeah.
Was there anything about the community that really really surprised you, that you maybe you weren't expecting, but it was a pleasant surprise?
Yes. So like transitioning from comedy to where like I used to drink. So obviously there, you know, I wouldn't really notice the transition. Like I'm quite introverted and quiet, and then I used to have a few drinks in me and I'll be like, hey. So, you know, that'd be very similar to like not all comedians, but the comedians that used to hang out, we'd have a few drinks and be like, way, you know, I'd photograph them, they go on stage, happy days. And then when I came to wrestling, my assumption would be because I used to be kind of like severely overweight, and then, you know, I'd go to these gyms where people would have like these 29 packs, and, you know, I'd be frowned upon because of my weight, unfortunately. But then, you know, life happens, life goes on.
Mhm.
I'd see them with their bodies and I'd just be like, oh my God, it's gonna happen all over again, you know, triggered. But they're so nice. And also they're quite introverted wrestlers, and they're so warm and lovely and kind, and I just want to put them all in my pocket. I do that, and they will give you their time. They will help out. Um, they're they're the most loveliest individuals I've met. That
Yeah.
definitely surprised me a lot. Yeah, they're all so wonderful. I mean, I was at Portland, and ET gave me the idea of, because I want to see Zay, and he was like, "Well, if you get to Portland, I can give you a ride back." And that wouldn't usually happen. So
Mhm.
ET and Ferner gave me a ride back from Portland. So I made it there to make sure I saw Zay. Just things like that. You wouldn't
Nice.
expect that. I don't think I'd get that anywhere else. Maybe I would have got that in a comedy scene. I don't know. But just having that, it's like I'm thought about. It's
Yeah.
endearing and caring. I love them
You
all.
it's, you know, you don't feel like you're being a burden at all. You're feeling almost like you're a part of everything to an extent.
100, yeah. And just I'm just running like when it'll like slip. Like, it sounds weird, but I'm just running when it'll slip, because I'm so used to things falling out or
Mhm.
falling down. So I'm like, when's it gonna? And it's like, it's not gonna happen. It's been 4 years now that it would have happened by now. So yeah.
With the magazine, what has been the reaction from the people who have picked it up, from the fans who have been able to get a copy of it?
Positive, very positive. People loved it. People said, someone said, this is exactly what's missing from the scene, which I was kind of like, ah. Overall positive, but I've said to people, I want really harsh criticism as well, because that's the only way I'm going to develop. It may hurt me, but I'm like, I need this to grow.
Mhm.
The only thing that's been told was that the interviews are too long, but I've already edited them down, so it's like I can't help it.
Yeah.
But no, overall, they love the pictures, they love what they've read. So it's kind of like, this is kind of like a nice booster to be like, okay, this is great, got to make it better. And just fonts need to change, and like a few layouts need to change. But yeah, it's been
It,
great. It's been
it,
really lovely.
that's awesome. And it seems like it's all constructive criticism. It's nothing of like the negative aspect. It's more just stuff to like help you grow and help the magazine to, like, you know, achieve more things.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a few things, but like, was there anything personally that you wanted to do differently with, you know, upcoming issues of the magazine? You know, not necessarily from that you've heard from reactions from other people, but thoughts, like things that maybe you thought of, like, oh, I'd like to tighten this up, or I want to change this going forward.
Definitely. So I'd love to do like with each like wrestler, I would love to do some more portraits and then follow them at a wrestling match. So already like volume 3, I already know who I want to photograph and interview, because I believe maybe 50%, 70, 60% of the wrestlers haven't been interviewed yet. So I do want to kind of follow them, do that thing. I want to get more in depth. I want to, when writing a piece personally for myself, like I want to kind of more of a question piece, like to kind of make people question certain things about the scene and what is relevant, what can be done, how can we make spaces better.
Yeah.
Color for sure. I went a bit doolally with the color backgrounds, but I was kind of like, I want to make this like exactly how I want to, and I did. Yeah, I think that's it. And I just want to push where I was when over a decade ago, like I was in the music industry. So I used to do a lot of this like graphics, illustration, photography. So I want to revert back to that, so it has more than just photography. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel that's where I need to go back to where I was then, and then push that forward.
You had mentioned that, there's about 6 interviews in the first issue. With those interviews, was there anything that surprised you to learn about the wrestlers that maybe you didn't expect?
Yes. So Evan Rivers, when he said it was freeing to be like a bad guy, to be a heel, that was very surprising. I loved how open he was about being cystic fibrosis, having cystic fibrosis as well. I love that as well, because then for people to read that, then maybe somebody who had a long-term health issue could relate to that as well, and then hopefully that could empower them, or just didn't feel as lonely in the world.
Yeah.
I feel with the diet as well, like that was, I don't know, with the diet, like hearing about Miles, like that was quite interesting. What else? I loved but Zay's was very interesting, just in terms of like clothing and all that, because he wears like the fishnet tights underneath like his gear. Like I loved to talk to him about that.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I had Liza. I loved Liza's quote about the ships, which isn't coming to my head right now, but that was very cool. And knowing that she's traveled around Japan, also South America, to do her training, her wrestling, which was phenomenal. That's why she's so excellent in what she does as well. And again, she's already a big name, but she's going to be a bigger name in the future. And just having Travis and Judas just there, and then learning about their backgrounds, and then progressing in the future and to where they are now. That's phenomenal.
Definitely. You mentioned quotes that like stick with you, and I'm gonna say one that I know that like Cherry had said when I had her on the podcast, that like it's not often that something sticks with you, but like she said one that has stuck with me, and it was that she became comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. I think that's the saying. Yeah. And it was one of those ones where it's like, yep, that hits. Yeah. Getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because it's very easy to just write it off. But as soon as you can start getting used to being uncomfortable, you can really progress. So I got to give her credit for that one. That one stayed with me.
She's a phenomenal wrestler in the scene as well. Like you can see, like every time, like whenever she enters the room, there isn't a single bit of silence in the room whatsoever. People roar for her, they scream for her. Like her last 2 matches that I've seen her in, she had Tony Baroni, she beat him. That was, cherry on the cake. And then there was the last one where she was a 2-way with 2 others. So it was Naomi King, and I forget the other wrestler. My apologies. But yeah, when she won, it was just kind of like, so proud of her. Like, yeah.
Do you ever find when you're shooting the show that like you kind of have to stop yourself from like getting into it as a fan? Because I know there's times where I'm watching and I was like, well, you're here to do a job. You have to focus.
I think I'm okay, because when I'm photographing, when I see something, I'm like, nice. But at the end, when it's at the end, I know I can like kind of relieve myself a bit, as long as I've kind of got that winning pose with the referee or something. I'm just like, yeah, or if I know them a bit better, so like whether we're friends or like I've photographed them for a long time and we've exchanged words, good words, not bad words.
Yes.
In the UK, if you exchange words, it's a bad thing. Like we've exchanged words. Like if we've had conversations, it's just been like, or like I could throw like insults at them. So if they're a heel, I'm like, why did you do that for? So it's kind of like, it's nice I feel it's kind of nice to be a part fan, even though you're working. You should be able to have that fan experience as well, but obviously still do the job, because it's like part of it. When the music starts, before the enter, it's kind of like you got to get in that jam, and when Miles DeVille's music plays, it's kind of like, it's like, yeah, let's go. So yeah, gotta embrace it.
With what's the timeline for the next issue? When can people expect that, and how has it been going getting that ready?
So this issue's just been a little slow, just because my anxiety is like, I'm going to eat you up. I'm like, thank you, yum yum yum. So I've got about 11 pages done. I've got 89 to go. I've got hopefully another photo shoot to do for that, and I've got another interview to do for that. Sorry, I've got 2 photo shoots because, as mentioned, I want to do more portraits for it. So with the interviews I already have, I'm like, I want to do a portrait because one of them mentions a chicken sandwich that he choked on. I'm like, I want to photograph them with a chicken sandwich, not choking on it though.
No.
So we're going to do that on the 11th. And also another one that I'm doing the gear collection with, I want to photograph them with the gear. Because even though I have photography with them in what they're wearing, I actually want really solid photographs of them wearing, you know, what they do, what they wear in the ring. So this one's a little late, but it's like, I know as soon as I finish work, I'm back here. Finish work, I'm back here. Because I know with my day job, it's great. I love the fact that I get paid and I have a job, but it's not my dream career. So like as soon as like I'm here, I'm loving it, get there, get home. So it's a little late, but I know with deadlines, as mentioned, the one in October, in January, I'm like, as long as it's out by the time we have the May Boom show, so I get it out the week before, I'm golden.
Okay.
I'll get it done. I believe in myself.
I believe in you too. So I think you got this.
Thank you.
Are you planning to do more copies of the physical one since, you know, you saw the demand of the first one?
Yeah, so I think so with the people I have for this one, I feel there could be like an equal ratio of people wanting it, and there are people still wanting volume 1. So I think I might it's like 30, 40. I don't know. This is where I'm kind of like, I want or need guidance, but there is no one to guide me. So I'm like, you know. So, and I don't want to use ChatGPT either. So I'm like, I just have to feel, you know, when it comes to that button, like how many do I want? I'll just either be like, I'm scared, or F it, I'm just going to do 40. So we'll go from there.
I was going to ask what the price is for it for people who may be wondering.
So it's $25.
Okay, that's solid.
25. Yeah, so $25. I wish I could do it cheaper, but it's just you know, with not only the price of it but also shipping, like I don't make any money. Like this is literally just a pure passion project for me. Maybe one day we'll make it cheaper, but then also if I make it cheaper, we lose the quality of the paper, you know, and it's not like a long lasting thing that someone can keep forever. And this is something somebody can keep forever. So $25 for something someone can keep forever, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, the quality, it's up there. So it's not like, you know, it's not the magazine at the newsstand quality that the pages are gonna, you know, it's gonna fall apart in your bag. Like this is high end stuff. You know, it looks good if you want to show it off. Like, so I think it's well worth the price that people will pay for it. Yeah,
and also like I've checked shipping, and shipping's too expensive. Like it was in Canada, it's $28. In the US, it's $22, and it's like, yeah, we're not. Yeah, there's. So I hope that maybe I would love to do something with the Clandestine Society, with like TFA, RB, and Steve. I'd love to travel over there. So if I do, I can bring like a bulk of magazines over. I'll be in Portland again, I think May. So then I'll bring some down with me, and then I'll go down again because I'm doing some stuff with people in Portland. So it's not as if I won't be traveling. It'll just be delayed copies for people and be like, you can buy it if you want.
Now, I always ask for a match recommendation. I know you're not like a massive wrestling fan, but I know you've still seen some incredible wrestling. So if there is a match that you have that you think the listeners should go check out, I would be more than happy to hear what you have.
Oh, 365 Pro Wrestling, the start of the year, Saint versus Sinner. Like Nicole Mathers versus Zoe Sager recently at Boom. Not Nicole. Cherry Blossom versus Tony Baroni at Boom last month. That was brilliant. I missed the last new, and they had such a good lineup. Like I wanted to see Casey versus Damien Desire. That I bet that was amazing too. I didn't see that, so I'm waiting for the footage so I can see that. But I'd say they're my first few. But Saint vs. Sinner, that was art. Yeah.
So for the people listening, if they want to find more information about the magazine, Spitting Off Edges, if they want to be able to stay informed of when the next issue is coming out, Where can they find you? How can they get a hold of you? Basically anything you would like to plug, here's an opportunity.
Well, I'm going to stay in this rectangle forever, so they can just try and find me. Yeah. They got to find the coding, right? Yeah. So on Instagram predominantly, please. Spitting off edges. And then on there, I think I've got a link to my actual Instagram. So it's Skye of the Portman. And then I think it's just Twitter, Skye Portman. I think my Twitter, but I'm rarely on my Twitter. So let's just stick to Instagram because I love my pictures and it's easy. It's easy. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Skye, I really appreciate you joining me. I'm very excited for the next issue to come out. And I think you're doing some fantastic stuff with independent wrestling out there.
And you too, Blair. Thank you for having me. And thank you for making sure this podcast keeps going and growing. Like, I wish you the best. Like,
I appreciate
keep making it happen.
Thank you to Skye, and thank you for checking out the podcast. I say it every time. I will always say it. I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me talk wrestling. If it's your first time listening, I'm up on all podcast streaming platforms, up on all social media, Grainmaker Wrestling Podcast. And if you're watching this, it's probably up on YouTube. Well, I'm on YouTube too. So thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the podcast. We'll talk soon. Grainmaker.